land. We're live. We're live. And while I'm giving you guys a moment to see that we're live, I'm going to let everybody else on Twitter land know that we're alive. Come join us. Come and join the fun. We are live. So, I am really pretty excited. I'm always very excited, to be exact, because I love golf. I love that I have people who care about listening to me talk about golf. So yeah, there's that. Tonight we are talking about the players, not just a tournament, but the Players Championship 2023. And it kicks off this Thursday, March 9th, which is really what happens every week when we have our show kicking off that Thursday. But guess what? It's still in Florida. It's at TPC Sawgrass. There is loads of water. There are tons and tons of these mounds. There are very deep pot bunkers. And if you're new to golf or maybe you don't watch a lot of golf, it's not just a bunker. It's like a hole, like a huge hole in the ground. But that is what makes it fun to watch. It's a tough course, but it's a fun course. And I'm here for it. Before we jump in, though, I want to talk a little bit about last week's results. It was a great week. And as you know, the Honda Classic, it was not the easiest to handicap for any analyst. My personal stats bumped down about 2%. But guess what? We're back, baby. Over the last 9 weeks, I am back at 78% accuracy at players making the cut. 10 of 11 to be totally transparent. And 5 of those were in the top 20. So 5 of 11 in the top 20. If you want winners, stick around because my co-host, Adam Hallas at Mr. Hallas on Twitter, has had similar results. I want you to welcome him to the show. Adam, what's up?
What is happening?
Anything exciting on tap today? Do you have a new beer for us?
No beer for us. I'm doing the whole no beer month, so I'm trying.
No beer month, but you have had a couple of cocktails.
I have,
Let's
yes.
just be honest.
A friend was in town, so
That's fine. Well, would you please give us a rundown on the tournament this week? I really, really, really want to hear your take on this TPC Sawgrass and what we can expect.
all right. So it's Players Championship, the Players Tournament, and well, it's TPC Sawgrass, so it's a 36-hole cut. It's going to be your typical sweat on Friday, and it's about 7,200 yards. So it's a little bit less than the previous Florida swing courses that we've been through. So I think Honda was 7,400, and then last week at Arnold it was about 7,300. So we're starting to shorten up a little bit. But we do have water in play on 16 holes. There's a bunker on 16 holes. The rough is about 2.5 inches, so it's about average. But looking at all the holes and how they play, accuracy for both approach and driving are going to be huge. And then the front nine is going to play a little bit easier than the back nine. And when I say a little, I mean just a little. So the back nine, you're probably looking at an average of, it looks like between 11 to 15% bogeys on the holes, and you're looking at about par for most of the holes. Birdies are hard to come by, but as we look at everything else, there's a lot of sand, a lot of water, And we got some POA greens, so that means that they're going to be a little bit slower than we're used to on the Bermuda greens. Bermuda is definitely a faster type green to have. POA is going to offer a little bit more of a textured green, so there's a little bit bumpy run towards the hole. So that's our course.
I'm really glad you said that because I actually wrote that down wrong in my notes. That we were going to be playing on Bermuda grass because we're in Florida, and I was just thinking for some reason.
Well, Bermuda fairways, so that's technically
Bermuda fairways, but not on our putting surface this week.
Yeah.
So that is important to know. I actually just made sure that that didn't affect my model, and it does not. So that's good news. Cool. Well, that was something important to call out. If anybody happens to weight their model based on the type of grass on their putting surface, make note of that. Speaking of models, when I put together my model, I'm using Team Riser Falls Steady Hub, and then there's a tab where I can go in and adjust the skill set that I think is going to be most important for this week's tournament on this week's course. So this week, how many times can I say this week? I'm weighing accuracy and approach most heavily. You're going to keep tally. And then I am putting around the greens, coming in pretty equally to putting. Will be on POA greens, not Bermuda. Again, that's not affecting my weighted model. Distance, not so much on my radar, but I am paying attention to stats off the tee, which I added in after I heard an interview this morning. Which is why I actually don't listen to other commentators' shows at all, because I don't want to be swayed as I am making my own picks. So there you go. Are there any other stats outside of accuracy, approach, around the green, off the tee that you're paying attention to?
Yeah, and it's going to be kind of weird. I didn't put any modeling on putting, only because when I was using a couple of course fit tools, putting, when you say on the one that I use, it kind of changes that dynamic on the different subsets. And when you change it to the relevance towards the course, it shrunk it totally on putting. And so we'll see how it goes. But I didn't model anything on putting. But what I did model it on was greens and regulation, sand save percentage, birdie or better percentage, driving accuracy, and then proximity. So getting to the green is what I'm worried about. Like, how do they get there, and how close do they get to the pin when they do get it? Because that is one thing that is going to be tough for a lot of these players, is not only the accuracy, but these pin locations is going to be tough. So TPC Sawgrass is known for pretty outrageous pin locations.
You are right. Looking at our picks as we were each plugging in our data, just for transparency, before I send the show sheet to Adam, I pop in my first pool just so he knows who I'm looking at. And as we were putting in our picks for tonight, we're a lot on the same page. So even though he didn't weigh putting and I did, we're still a lot on the same page, and that's probably due to that driving accuracy and approach model first and foremost, and not including distance. Perhaps I did sprinkle in a small percent of sand save because of the amount and the difficulty of sand on this course.
Yeah, and like, it's a good thing. The reason I'm not doing driving distance is the average drive on this particular tournament is, last week it was 285 yards. This week it's 10 yards shorter, so it's 270 yards. And so it doesn't play that much of a factor when you look at a lot of these holes.
Yeah. And the course fit tool that I used just didn't put any bearing either on that skill set. So cool. Let's jump in to our priciest picks. 9, 10, There are some even upwards of 10K this week. We're looking at DraftKings as our baseline in case you're joining us for the first time. If you want an estimate on your FanDuel cost, tack on 1,500 to 2,000, roughly 2,000 to your FanDuel adjustment. Number one, I am going with Homa this week, who I had a lot of faith in last week, still played excellent golf last week. I anticipate that trend to continue. 9-9 on DK, ranking 5th in my personal model. How you feeling about Homa this week?
I like Homa as well. He is in my grouping for the expensive region of DK as well. I think for his accuracy and the way he shakes out, at least in my model, he's high up there. And so I think Max Homa is a pretty good pick for these certainly expensive golfers.
They are. They're pretty pricey. I like it when it's under 10K though. For some reason, that feels really comfortable to get a nice round build without like the sweating of if somebody's going to make the cut. Like when I have a very expensive build to start, like 10K, 11K, and then another like 9.9 or 9.8, then I'm feeling like the pressure. Oh my gosh, are my like weakest guys gonna make the cut? I feel a lot better when I start a little lower.
Yeah, it's very hard. And there's a lot of sweating going on when you put a studs and duds line up together. So
Yeah. Outside of Homa, I happen to see Morikawa shaken out in there. 9-5 on DraftKings. Morikawa ranks 7th in this model. So Homa 5th, 7th. Morikawa 7th in my model. But I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Scotty Scheffler. I mean, the guy is an amazing golfer. I just don't know if I want to loosen the purse strings to pay 10-6. Here's the thing about Scotty Scheffler, ranking 9th in my model, 10-6 on DraftKings, 11-8 on FanDuel. That is such a small gap that it makes me think it's a good play and potentially a good play on FanDuel in this case. So if I were thinking of making a lineup on FanDuel, I may start it off with Scotty Scheffler just because it feels, even though it's super pricey still, it feels like a bargain because that gap is so small between the two platforms. So those are my top guys. Who else do you have in your top picks?
well, we talked about Max Homa. He's in my grouping as well because I think he's done a pretty good job. I have Justin Thomas. I think he's playing steady golf right now. There's a couple stats like on some of his approach stats that you wonder like which version of Justin Thomas am I going to get? But I think for these types of tournaments where everyone kind of shows up only because the notoriety behind it, but he also has good history here. And outside of the good history, his strokes gained on off the tee and around the green are pretty stellar. His ball striking's okay, and his approach is okay, but the off the tee and around the green is pretty good. And I think, when you start to look at his greens and regulation and stuff like that, I think he's doing okay, and he's got a pretty good sand save percentage. So I like Justin Thomas here. And then you have this asterisk. I don't know why you have this asterisk. Is Cantlay.
I put the asterisk because Cantlay was in my original pool too, and also models out well, but I just didn't go with him. I wanted to tell people if they care. I also really like Cantlay.
I like Cantlay, and there's one factor I think that he's going to work well here And that is he is number one in a couple factors, and he's number one in the field for par five scoring and par five birdie or better percentage. And a lot of these holes here, you can make up a lot of ground on par fives, and he does the best at it here. Not here specifically, but like on par fives. And so I think he'll do well on this tournament and certainly be competitive. And I think he's when you look at all the expensive golfers like John Rahm, Rory that are up there, and I don't know why John Rahm's still 11-8, which is super expensive, um, even after his play last week. I think Cantley is going to be your best value pick.
You are right. I was muted. Yes, Wendy, I will drop those in for you because I know you liked that last week when I did that. Okay. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Even some of those top picks kind of can trickle on the high end of the middle tier. So let's talk about that middle tier. I know there is another name I'm going to say that we both were in agreement on. Actually, my top two are your top two for this middle tier as well, but I'm going to throw out a bonus. So Tom Kim 8-1. This feels like a steal to me. No matter how I sliced and diced and shook up the weighted model, Tom Kim kept rising to the top. Spoke to a very trusted friend about Tom Kim, no experience. And they were like, doesn't matter. Feels good. Let's do it. And you're right. You know what? Trust the process. There's a process for a reason. It's been successful for a reason. So I'm going to go with it. Tom Kim 8-1 on DraftKings. Love it.
Yep.
What about you?
Tom Kim fan as well. I tried shaking up my model. I was telling you before the show started that I spread the wealth a little bit more on certain aspects and certain models. And so I had more levers to pull. And so try to get more integrated with how many factors I bring in to raise certain golfers. And no matter what lever I pulled, Tom Kim was either 2 or 3 when it came to it. And he is really playing steady golf. It may not be that super competitive that you see where, Roy, was kind of in the middle of the pack towards last weekend, and Sunday he was kind of nipping at Kurt's behind for number one. And but I think he's playing steady enough golf that he's given himself a chance to really be in that top 5 if he wanted to.
Yeah. Give me another one.
Give you another one. Well, our second one that we both liked is Victor Hovland. I think the way he's been playing lately, despite the kind of choke on Sunday, I think he kind of got into his own head on Sunday. Before that, he was playing lights out. He was having some great rounds, and his accuracy's up. His putting was good. So I think Victor Hovland will do well here. And my bonus pick is Jason Day. I know you have a bonus pick, but I think Jason Day is playing similar golf to Victor Hovland, and they have similar statures on paper. And I think Jason Day probably brings a pretty good value around the 8 to 9K range, and you can build a lot off of that.
I like it. Hey, there's no sorries. I'm glad you're here. Oh, welcome, friend. You just missed the top tier. It's there in the chat if you want to catch up on those. And we just now finished the middle tier where both Adam and I are high on Tom Kim, Victor Hovland. Adam also threw out Jason Day, who I really like for this too. Didn't quite do it for me in the sense where I was like super excited about it, but I don't know why. He ranks second in my weighted model. So J-Day, perfect bonus pick. My little bonus pick in that middle tier at 9,000, Sung J M ranking 6th. I had him in my initial pool. I think that's why. I didn't have Jason Day in my initial pool. That's why. It's not that I don't like him. Like I said, ranks out second in my model, but my process, I start with that pool and I work my way through it. And since he wasn't there, I decided not to move on it. Still love it. Good job. Let's dive in to that bottom barrel, which is crazy because these are excellent golfers.
They've been playing great golf.
It's crazy. It's almost like a sale. It's a fire sale.
It's weird that 2 weekends ago we paid $9,000 for Chris Kirk.
I know. And he still played pretty great golf.
Yeah.
I mean, to see that drop is wild. And even to say Hovland, like I know he started off on fire and then just didn't finish, but he played great golf. Now we're here in the bottom tier where we have players 6 to 7-ish K. Two of mine are on the high end. Kirk especially 7-9 on DraftKings. Chris Kirk ranks 12th in my model. 7-9 feels like a bargain to me. Again, if you're just jumping in, that model is taking into account heavily accuracy and approach with a heavy dose of around the green. Lots of off the tee stats, a sprinkle of putting, a sprinkle of sand. So 7-9 feels pretty great for that. If we're going to come down some, we're sharing one. I'll let you throw that one out.
So, are we talking about Killer Keith? Killer
Yes.
Keith Mitchell?
Killer Keith.
Killer Keith. Not only does he's been playing pretty good golf. When you look at all the stats that we talk about, right? The accuracy, the approach, the around the green. But then he also has some decent history here that makes him a viable pick. And so I think for where he's at in the seventh, $7,000 type range, I think Killer Keith is a pretty good pick.
I really like it. He just looks good again. And when we talk about modeling, when we talk about stats, when we talk about how they've been playing this season, it's hard to overlook all of these things. 7-4, man, such a steal. Ranks 19th in my model, which that's great. I am only using 20 to share with you guys today. So 19th, hanging in there. In that bottom chunk, Joel Damon, Netflix fandom now from the series, but I've used him before and I've have mixed reviews on Damon. Before I jump into that, you know what, Royal Slade, I'm actually not sure. I don't think I have any Canadians this week, but I know there are some in my pool, I think. I'm sorry if I let you down. But Damon is one of those where I'm like, the dude could be so good. And they kept saying that on the Netflix special too. Like, this guy could be so good at golf. But it's almost as if he lacks that drive to just want to be the best. Like, he just wants to go out there and play, I guess.
It's like he puts a bucket hat on and is like, you know what? I'm a weekend warrior today.
Exactly. But he models out for me in my initial pool and again in the weighted modeling. And again, when I look at the raw data, he models out at 10th. And for 6'8", I don't know that I could stay away from that. So I'm throwing that in there because for 6'8", you can't get a golfer in the 6,000s that I think is as good as Joel Damon. So
I think it's a pretty good pick for at least the 6K range. Like, if you're trying to put together a studs and duds lineup and you're trying to fit a $12,000 John Rahm in your lineup, then Joel Dahman is going to be your guy to fit in there. I don't know who else you're going to put in at 6K in that 6K range, but because if you're going to try to force in John Rahm in their 12,000, you're going to need one other $6,000 guy in there. So
Who else do you got? I know you got one more.
I have Tom Hoagie. He kind of let me down a couple times, but he is accurate. I think Tom Hoagie, however you pronounce it, he shakes out pretty well in my model on approach. Stellar. He's gaining like 1.2 strokes per round on approach. And then we look at proximity. His greens in regulation, 70%. Proximity, fairway proximity, which means like how much room does he give himself to on the fairway? He's great. 100 to 125 yards, he's great. And scrambling and sand safe percentage, birdie or better, he's also pretty good. Birdie or par fives, he's okay, but actually at this price, the only thing he doesn't shake out at all is around the green and driving distance. But guess what? We don't care about driving distance. So yeah, he's my guy for the for that range, and he has a pretty good history here. He hasn't missed a cut since 2019, which is a curse now because I just said it. So he's probably going to miss the cut.
Cursed. All right. And now the segment everybody is waiting for. What the fuck? Coined by Adam. WTF picks this week. Gosh dang it. Cannot shake this one. Matty K. Matt Kuchar strikes again, folks.
You know what, though?
Make this up.
If you're not going off a driving distance, you can put Matt Kuchar in there, right?
Exactly. So when I had Matt Kuchar to win 2 weeks ago, I think it was. I have to look at my sheet. Or was it Honda Classic? It might have been Honda Classic, actually. It was similar. Last week, I was not looking at distance at all. He weighs out when you do that. Probably should have sprinkled in a little distance just to make it a little more. This week, I really don't care about distance. And when you pop him in, the man just makes it right in the middle of the pack at 11 in my weighted model and 7,200 on DraftKings, 8,300 on FanDuel, which, you know, again, is one of my favorite things when they're only like 1,000 apart. It makes me feel like they know something and we should pay attention.
I want to start paying attention to that.
I can't help it. Slade, I'll get to that in 1 second. Adam, who is your WTF this week?
This week is more of a horse for course pick. A horse for course is just a golfer that will play semi-okay for most rounds, for most tournaments, but then there's a course that he just fits like a glove and will play inexplicably. So like some people will say that when you play golf, you're either playing yourself or you're playing against other people. Well, you're playing the course. The course is built to challenge you and to make you think about what your next shot is and stuff like that. Adam Hadwin fits that model, at least for what I have for WTF Pick. Has fairly good experience here. Has okay approach stats. He's doing okay off the tee. I think for the range that he's in, I think he's a pretty good WTF pick.
I have to agree with you. Adam Hadwin was in my original pool and happens to just miss my personal cut at 22nd this week. So I did not go with him, but it is a super solid pick. Love it. Stand behind it. Gonna do it, probably.
You should
Uh,
you should kudos yourself too on what our stats are for our picks, and then did you do the average position of your picks?
I have not. I thought that was yours. Though that was my average position.
No, 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 no. I was saying that you should give yourself kudos for the percentage of the picks.
Yeah, you know what? I am pretty proud. If you missed the beginning of the show, 78% of my picks have made the cut. I think I'm at 36 or 38% top 20, but this last week, 5 of 11 made the top 20, 10 of 11 made the cut. And I know, Adam, you had been looking at average position overall. I don't know if that included my picks or not, but share that again.
My average position was 28th, so almost a top 20 on almost all the picks. So we're getting there.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I haven't seen any other analysts sharing the transparent data. And if they did, I would love to see it on paper matched up. Every pick that comes out of my mouth is in my article. If there's a pick that comes out of my mouth just spur of the moment and it's not in my article, I've noted it in the sheet for transparency. I think that's important. So what the fuck picks, Kelly Matt Kutcher, surprise. Adam has.
Adam had one.
All
Don't forget
right.
Royal's question in there.
Question. I looked that up while you were talking. Kitayama is not on my radar. I'm going to pop that up there so that everybody can see. The question is, Kelly, not that one.
Right, went through that.
Any appetite to ride with Kitayama this week? No. I have no Kitayama in my original pool. Did not do well in my model, and here's why. He does not have really anything to write home about when it comes to accuracy. I feel slightly similar to JT. I meant to bring this up when you were talking, but at least Justin Thomas can bring it home in that approach around the green and putting. There's a lot more to be said for JT in those areas of making it up than Kitayama. The accuracy is not there. He is a long bomber off the tee, but if you don't have the accuracy, he's going to end up in that rough. And that is one place dude is not going to want to be at TPC Sawgrass. I can tell you that right now. So
No. He doesn't check out well on par 5 scoring either. And so I think last week, he's a good golfer, don't get me wrong, but I think last weekend was just what you call a statistical anomaly. He just played lights out. And so I don't think you're going to catch that wind again this weekend.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. I was trying to look back and see if I could find let's see, Arnold Palmer right here. I just wanted to see if my initial pool, yeah, even last week I did not have Kitayama popping up in the initial pool or in the modeling. So definitely a statistical anomaly. Is that what we're gonna call it?
I mean, when you look at his stats, there's no
Yeah.
possible way that even if you modeled on the things that perhaps anybody else would have, like it, there's no way, absolutely no way. Like the only thing he breaks in the top 10 for would be proximity 200 yards plus and fairway proximity. Outside of that, his other stats are not up there at all.
I love these questions. Wendy, I hope this week happens for you too. I'm feeling like it has to, especially with the winning percentage that we've had making the cut. It's got to be there, Wendy. It's got to be there.
Trust the system.
Trust the system. that's about it, you guys. If there aren't any more questions, I mean, we've talked results overall. We talked results last week. We gave our top picks: Homa, Morikawa, Scheffler, Homa, Cantlay, Homa twice just for fun. Tom Kim, Hovland, Jason Day. We've got Mitchell, Kirk, Hoagie, Dom and Damon, whatever we want to say there, and the what the fucks, Matt Kuchar, my man, and Adam Hadwin. So everybody, I hope that you had a great time tonight. And that's about it. We're going to do the awkward goodbye now. Have a great night, everybody, and see you next week.